I heard a lot of rhetoric today. It doesn't match the reality I see on the ground in District 3. Accepting, and the motion as currently framed, I do not find acceptable. Accepting the federal government's Operation Stonegarden grant, and it's a FEMA grant. It's not a Customs and Border Patrol grant. May I remind everybody, is a difficult policy decision. We've accepted it over time, but more recently, the vigorous public debate in opposition to the grant, it's clear that the grant hasn't changed nor adapted to today's border conditions. But there is one compelling policy reason to accept OPSG, the Stonegarden funds, and that is a new federal policy, the Migrant Protection Plan. In the last few years, we have seen increasing peaceful surrenders at the border for individuals seeking asylum in the U.S. Those individuals were treated humanely and afforded legal counsel, bedrock principles of our county and our country. But now with the more Migrant Protection Plan, things have changed. I believe that this plan will do nothing more than cause legal asylum seekers to be forced to return to the old, dangerous smuggling routes, to be victimized by drug cartels and those who profit from human smuggling. As a direct result of MPP, dangerous human smuggling, trafficking will emerge as a primary method of entry into the United States by those seeking asylum. History tells us the outcome of this activity means more deaths in the desert. Between 2010 and 2019, the remains of undocumented border crossers were recovered solely in District 3, the district I represent. These are foreign nationals who have died attempting to cross the southern desert from Sasabe on the Mexican border to the Ironwood National Forest on northern Pima County border and through Ajo and Lukeville on the western border. May I remind my colleagues that all of the individuals who died attempting to cross the desert in southern Arizona perished in District 3, not in District 1, not in District 2, not in District 4, and not in District 5. The implementation of MPP now makes it even more imperative that more law enforcement is present in the western deserts of Pima County, not only for the interdiction of human and drug smuggling, but more importantly, for the rescue and the provision of life-saving aid. I assume my two Republicans, I think I'm incorrect, given Supervisor Miller's comments recently, would accept OPSG funding without any conditions, but I will not. In fact, I believe the conditions recommended by the county administrator fall short of ensuring the civil liberties of our citizens are fully protected if our law enforcement officials work in conjunction with federal agencies on border protection. In addition, it is clear, which is why I appreciate Sheriff Napier commitment to the data recapture reports, the monthly data recapture reports. In addition, it is clear by past analysis that accepting Stonegarden funding as is does not fully reimburse local taxpayers. That was my original concern with accepting Stonegarden funds, and that came as a result of actually reading the November 9th, 2017 OIG report regarding FEMA and CPB oversight of Operation Stonegarden and their recommendations that it needs improvement. I support the conditions certainly recommended by the county administrator in his recent memo and would like to add as an amendment, should the maker of the motion accept it, some more conditions. First, only the federal government can discuss a 2018 grant in 2020. That's interesting. It is clear if this grant is accepted, All utilization, this is a 2018 grant, must end June 30th, 2020, and that confines those expenditures to our normal fiscal year. Second, I believe condition H, which is that the county receive indirect expense reimbursement from any OPSG grant to the maximum extent possible. I believe that that needs to be condition B. We received it from Department of Justice grants in the past, and it's absurd that we cannot receive such from Homeland Security grants. As a condition, the principle is quite simple. Unless we are reimbursed to the maximum extent possible for our indirect expenses, there will be no overtime expenses incurred for the sheriff for OPSG. Next, it should be obvious that a grant program started nearly 15 years ago, has not changed, is outdated, and requires federal policy revision. I would ask the board to call upon our congressional delegation to overhaul OPSG. In fact, the only published report from the Office of the Inspector General calls it non-transparent and non-accountable. It's time to overhaul this grant. Federal OPSG policy requires legislative action and revision. Doing so will save federal and local taxpayers money. A simple solution, as well as cost savings for both federal and local taxpayers, is available by simply shifting reimbursement from overtime to straight time hours worked by local police agencies assisting the federal government and border security. Finally, I believe withholding humanitarian aid when it was suggested by federal department policy guideline documents, coupled with a flimsy excuse for denial, as well as the runaround we've been given on indirect expense reimbursement, calls for an official review and investigation of the agencies involved in OPSG grant funding through the Office of the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security. We should ask that department to review the supplement their report of November 9th, 2017. And with that, I would like to amend the motion if the maker is so inclined.